I'm from Kentucky. Our basketball teams are doing great this year between UK and Louisville. So I brought a Kentucky paper with me, and this. You ever seen one of these? They sell them at dollar stores, very cheap. But here's what I'm going to do. I just want to get a page that I can use out of this newspaper. I was looking through earlier. I think the end of the B section over here. Yeah. I'll just do this. I'm just going to rip this and cynic. You hold out the paper. Let's see. Turn it. Let's see what side we're going to. No, the other side. The side that sort of has the want ads. Okay. And here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to just take this paper and just let me go to the corner and just rip off all the corners. That's where the numbers are, okay? And just, I don't need that anymore. Would you mix them around? And hold it so it's facing you. Okay? Did you mix them all around? Okay, you reach in there, take one and crumble it up. Just don't look at it, just crumble it up. Okay? Now here, take this. Now on one side of that paper there's a number, and on the other side there's a different number, okay? On that little piece. Open it up and take a look. That was fair? And you could see that don't need those anymore. Now, do you see the numbers? Is there a number on each side? Did we get one with
one number?
Okay, well, it should say,
day.
What's that?
A day.
Don't say what it is, but, okay, I try to, because in the corners ought to be see, like this is A7 on this side, A8 on this side. Do you have those numbers? Okay, so you have two different numbers on each side. Okay, choose either number, and don't say it, but just count across to that column. Okay, then use the number on the other side and count down in the lines. Just count down that many lines. You see what I'm saying? Don't worry about the top here. Was that fair? Okay, did you do it?
Yes.
So you have one line that you're looking at. Is it not too long a line, right?
No.
Is it like 2 or 3 words?
4.
4 words. I'm not looking at you, I'm looking the other side, and I'm going to give you the paper to keep and all the rest of the stuff here. Just think of that first word. Is it table? That is the word you're thinking of?
Yep.
Okay, why don't you go to the next word after that? Is it stereo? Yes? Yeah? Let's do just one more. Just one more. Wow. I wouldn't think that would go together with the other 2 words. Is it vacuum? Is that the last word you're thinking of? It is? Thank you very much. Crazy.
Well, Stuart Robson's 20th century newspaper test seems to be just as effective in the 21st century.
You know, I didn't learn this from Practical Mental Effects or the Jinx. I first learned this one when I had an old Tana's catalog, and way back, forever long ago.
They used to put tricks in the back.
Yeah, and they had a mental club program in the back of the catalog as like an extra bonus.
Okay.
And this was one of them.
Okay.
And it talked about this being so great because the entertainer could buy the newspaper on the way to the performance that night and just use it there. And it's a great, a great way of doing it. You simply have to go to the want ads and decide on a page.
All right.
Okay, let's use this page here. You just need columns. And depending on, yesterday I used a newspaper I brought with me from Kentucky, and it didn't have want ads, it had personal, so I had them count down a line. But now I picked this up this morning, this is a Connecticut paper, Waterbury Republican, right? Or
Yes.
Republican American. And this one actually has want ads. So if I were to use this in the same scenario, I think I would just have them count out to ads, okay? And we're going to force the number 5 and 6, and I'll show how that's going to happen in a second. But for now, let's just get to the prediction part,
All right.
or what. And so let's say you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down to the 6th ad, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Medico sales champion. That would be one prediction, and the
Okay.
other one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Is that a separate ad? Yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Restaurant line cooks.
All right.
Would be the second one.
Okay.
So you leave the page in there, but you know which one you're going to use later.
All right.
And you're going to open it and take it out. Okay. The other thing now, you got to force 5, 6, and you do that by just going through the newspaper, because you're going to rip off all the corners. And I don't usually use the first section, but the second section, because I don't want somebody spotting that right off the bat. So you go to the second section, the B, and I look for 5, 6B, because you'll 5 even are always on this side, odd on that side. So here's 5, 6, and just, okay, rip it off, just like the rest of the pages are going to be ripped later.
Okay.
That's it, 5, 6. Now, in the book, you're going to switch the piece, that one piece, for your force piece.
Okay.
And they talk about a thumb tip. Now, I remember when I was very young, when you bought a thumb tip, it was only about this long, and it was made out of metal.
Right.
And so that would probably work okay if you bunched it up, crushed it up, and stuck it in one of those, because it would slide right out. But you can't do that with a Vernay thumb tip.
It's going to get stuck in
It gets stuck in there. And so I don't use it. I just do a straight finger switch.
there. Okay.
So I just have that tucked away in my pocket somewhere. Usually my right pocket, where I can get to it easily. Let's just get rid of the thumb tips, so that whenever you have something in your pocket you're going to need to get to, the most important thing is to take everything else out of that pocket.
Right.
That's where you run into problems. So I had the thumb
So you're
tip
not
in it.
fumbling for the...
Exactly.
yeah.
The only thing in this pocket now is that piece of paper. That's it.
Right,
Period. So
okay.
I'm going to get to it. Now, it also talks in the book about using a hat, because you're going to put all these pieces of paper in a hat. And see, that's what turns off a lot of people when they read stuff like that. Like if it says burn something, well, how can you burn stuff in a restaurant?
Right.
There's no smoking. You got to put something in a hat. Well, back in the 20s and 30s, everybody wore a hat.
Right.
To say, I need to borrow a hat, you'd have 7 people hold one up and say, here. That's not the case anymore. And so this is kind of a neat thing. It comes from the dollar store. It costs next to nothing. And it's like a little box. It just folds up nice and flat. You put this little flap inside, and now you got a little box.
Like a little
that-
hamper, yeah.
Yeah, and it takes the place of a hat perfectly.
Sure.
And it folds right up small.
Packs flat.
So that's what I decided to use. So that's what we're going to use to mix the pieces up. So now let's talk about the routine. Take out the paper, which is basically the only thing gimmick now is it's missing that corner, and who's going to spot that? And I go to the end, to the page that we've already agreed on that we know we're going to use for the person to look at and count to.
Right.
And I say, okay, here, let's use this.
Okay.
And then I say, okay, now, we have a bunch of want ads here. And I say, we need to pick a number, a random number. So, okay, let's just do this. I'm just going to rip out, all the corners of the newspaper with the numbers on them and drop them in here and shake them up. Then, and I hand that to you, shake it up good.
All right.
And of course, while you're shaking it up good, I've now retrieved the little crushed up corner.
All right.
Okay, now actually, just to set this in the correct staging, the person with the paper, because I'm just explaining it to you now, would be on this side.
You'd have 2 different participants.
2 different pieces. And this person is taking all the pieces now and shaking them up.
Okay.
So in other words, I would hand the paper to somebody over here, show the paper, rip off the corners, drop them in here, and hand them to somebody over there. Now just reach in there and just take any paper, crush it up. Don't even look at it, just crush it up. Now you notice the little, don't even look at it, just crush it
Right.
up. It
So
seems
they
like
can't get a glimpse of a page number.
yeah, later and say, hey, that's
Yeah.
not what I took.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like much, but
Yeah.
okay. And okay, now you take the paper, nothing more than that. That's simple. I mean,
Just
I'm
a
not
simple
trying to be
hand-to-hand.
clever. Yeah, just here. Because again, I'm moving. I'm taking it from you here. But even slow motion, look at,
Yeah.
yeah, I could take it like this and do type a switch like that, or I could take it like this and and do some kind of clever switch. No, I just here.
Yep.
You know, as a matter of fact, later when I talk about the Bert Reese stuff, you know, I just can't believe that these guys try to be too clever. You know, you get the job done in the most natural way, and that's the most clever, actually. So, anyways, they take it, and they open it, and there's 5B and 6B. So you just say, okay, count across to either one. And this is what's so nice. This is what's so nice about this, is because right at the end you still get the freedom. And a lot of stuff in practical mental effects is like this. You think, even at this point, it's like, okay, we got a paper with 2 numbers. Take either number and count across
All right.
to a column.
All right, I'll count to the 5th column.
Okay, but of course
right.
you don't say that, and they say, okay, take the other number and count down.
Oh, I see, all right.
Yeah, and then I just have to fish just a little bit, you know.
Okay.
Like in this case, did we get a different
Yeah,
page?
no, we're at the medical
Oh,
sales
yeah,
champion.
okay,
Yep.
and the other one was the restaurant.
Right.
So you know, I might say something like, having looked at both of these, the difference is I might say something, well, wait a minute, it's the one that you're looking at inside like a little square? And you say, yeah, I would know
Right,
that. Whereas
okay.
if you said no, I would just find a major difference
Right,
between the
because
two.
the restaurant line cooks does
Doesn't
not
have-
have a box around
Yeah,
it. All right.
and that one does.
Right.
Yesterday, one of the 2 possibilities was like 4 or 5 words on a single line, and the other one only had a couple words. And I said,
That's why you asked her, does it have a lot of words or just
yeah,
have-
I said, does it just have a couple words? And if she said no, oh, okay, well, look at the whole line.
Now, let me ask you, these 2 pieces of information that you need, do you crib those? Do you memorize those? Or
And it depends what they are exactly. See, I kind of cheated yesterday because I was able to look at this and set it up just before we filmed it. So
Okay.
I just looked at it and
It
said,
was
okay.
fresh in your mind.
Yeah, but if I were doing, and I'm going to talk about this later when we talk about another effect, extrasensory perception, I don't trust my memory. And I would probably write this down.
Okay.
Even if it was on a pad in my pocket that I could just take out and say, okay, concentrate.
yeah, you got-
I would try to memorize it, but if I forgot it, I have a backup.
Right, okay.
When you're trying to remember something, if you know you have a backup, you relax, and chances are you won't forget it.
Okay.
But if you know you have to remember it or the whole thing is ruined, that's when the pressure does something in your mind that turns a switch that makes you forget it.
Right, okay.
But if you know you have a backup and that you're going to be okay, then chances are you won't forget it in the first place. So yeah, I would have written this down somewhere. Or even, if I wanted to use a slate, another great thing about slates is you can write right on the surface with a pencil that can't be seen from
Right,
more than a second.
right, you can see it in the, yeah.
Or you can write on the edge and just erase it afterwards, you know? So there's so much you can do. So with non-text stuff like that you can't do with other stuff, you know? So, but I would write it down. I would make sure I knew what it was. This is a great effect. The last thing in the world it is dated, except for the fact that this happens to be March 31st. You each have a pencil in front of you. Here are 5 pieces of paper. Would you each take one, please? And on your paper, I'd like you each to write down a question about your future, something you yourself don't know the answer to. You know, maybe will you be successful doing this or that? Should you quit your job? Should you perhaps move, or what have you? Write your question down and then fold your paper in half twice, please. When you're done, just toss it in the table. Just toss them down over here, please. And they're still writing over here. Yep, over there. And would you mix them up? Just mix them up good so nobody knows. And would you reach over and take one? You reach over and take one. Go ahead, each one of you reach over here. You take that one. Okay, oh, sorry. And put it away. Don't open it. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want you to open it. Yeah, that's okay. Close yours up and just trade with him or something. Just so, yeah, it's put them away. In other words, put it in your pocket or someplace like that. And what pocket did you put?
My back pocket.
Your back pocket. It's a question of travel, and it's a question of when by July there will be a trip taken. Can I see that paper? By July, a trip will be taken. You want to open it up? What does it say?
Will I take a trip soon?
Will I take a trip soon? Who wrote that? I did. That was yours. Okay, so by July, you will. Now, let me work with you, okay? You have your paper where?
My front right.
I wanted them mixed up because I don't want anyone to know. Someone here, it's a general question about life. They want to know if they will be successful in life. And the answer is yes, because you're a hard worker. That's the answer to the question. Would you open it up? What does it say?
Will I be successful in life?
Who wrote that?
I did.
That was yours. We'll give it back to him. You have a question on you still.
Yes. No, I gave you mine on the paper.
Who still has a question? You have one. The answer is 4. 4 to 6 AVA. Will you open it?
How many AVAs will I win?
Who wrote that? Was that you? Is that a good number?
That's fine.
Who's left here?
Me.
No, you
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who has papers still?
Question.
Oh, I do.
You still have a question? You still have one too? No. I feel like the question is no. It's not. No. You don't mind if I just scribble here? I'm going to cross out the A. I'm going to go with B plus. Yeah. This time, would you open it? Would you read out loud what it says?
Will I get an A in TVZ?
Who wrote that?
It's TV2.
TV. So I wrote no, not an A. I crossed out A. You will get a B plus. Is that not?
Doesn't surprise me to start.
You still have a paper. As a matter of fact, you know what? Rather than give it to me, hold it up high. Don't open it. Whose question didn't I answer yet?
Mine's not answered.
Nine, 10, 11. Does this mean anything to you? I'm drawing a clock.
Yes, it does.
I think tonight I am going to go, you know what, let me change this. Let me put this about here. And I will go with this is what I have gone with. Would you open the paper up and read out loud what it says?
What time will I eat supper?
What time will I eat supper? That sound about right to you?
That's the exact time, yes.
Okay. Well, then thank you very much.
So Bert Reese was one of the legendary billet workers, and Anneman spends quite a bit of time in practical mental effects talking about him. So Let's look at some of his material.
Yes, now I'm going to be demonstrating, and what I did yesterday was the routine for multiple sitters. He had routines for groups, routines for single sitters, and
Okay.
maybe we'll touch upon that in the next, the next visitation of Animan.
All right.
But for now, let's just talk about the multiple sitters. Again, a number of billets. I pre-folded them already. One this time is actually going to be a dummy.
Okay.
So you have to have one extra one that in the process of making up the papers, you manage to hold back one. You've got it secreted away somewhere in your pocket or what have you.
Okay.
Everybody writes questions on their billets, and what you do is after they write the questions, you toss them in the middle of the table. This, again, can be a few, it can be a lot. You want at least 5 or 6, even if you only have 3 people sitting there.
All right.
Okay, and they mix them around. Now you got people sitting all around like I did yesterday, and I might say to this person, okay, you take one of these and just put it in your pocket or something. You take one, you put it in your pocket.
Okay.
You take one over there and you put it in your pocket. And I say, okay, and you take one, you put it in your pocket. And you take one, you see, and I've just made a switch.
All right.
I just switched one. I had the dummy here, and as everybody's reaching over and taking billets, somewhere along that time, I just pick one up and I go, okay, you put one in your pocket. That was sloppy. What you're doing is just a simple switch. I've got one here, and I say, okay, here, put one in your pocket. That
Okay.
quick, and I've just switched it. Now I've got one of the questions here. And now everybody's putting them in pockets and everything. My hand drops to my lap where I open it in my lap.
Okay.
And it's a simple matter just to pop it open, 2 folds, and it's in my lap, like this. And I'm sitting at the table with my pad.
All right.
And I'm making little squiggles and notes. This is what Bert Reese did while talking to the people. And he, would point to somebody and and make the squiggles and notes. You got a paper there in your pocket. Then he would answer a question. In the meantime, this is refolded.
Right.
Okay, and the person takes out the paper and he's answered the question, and he takes the paper from them like this, and he switches and opens the one he's had in his lap.
All right.
And sets it down on the table.
Right.
And that show, and that's the
that
question.
one, the in-hand billet switch that you talked about
it
before?
could be, it's just, you take it back and just however it takes to switch it.
All right.
For instance, what you want to do is switch this one for that one before you even open it.
Okay.
Because you're not actually, so what you do is you get it here, you could even do like this here. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I think yesterday that's what I was doing over and over again, because it's not like you're going to work one ahead at this point. See, that's the difference. It's not, you're not working one ahead here. The one that you've just answered is here in this hand.
All right.
And the one that you want to get is over here. So they've been holding this up in their hand. This is the one you've answered and you already have refolded. So now you take back the one that you've been pointing to and you do this. See?
All right.
And you're opening the one that you actually had opened in your lap and setting that down on the table to show that you were right. In the meantime, I've opened a new one in my lap and I'm all set to go again. So now I turn to somebody else and point to a pocket that they put a paper in, and I start squiggling again, and I start answering that one, you see? And then I say, okay, let's see the paper, take it out. And I take it out and I say, okay, let's open it up. And I've just switched again, you see?
Yes.
So I'm not actually working one ahead in a traditional way. I'm switching it for the paper I just answered. So look at the effect. I point to somebody, it seems, in many of these cases, I've never touched anything. I touched one paper in the beginning.
Right.
They have picked up these papers and hid them in different pockets. I'm pointing to them and saying, okay, that pocket's here. I answer the question. They take it out of their pocket. I immediately appear to take it and open it on the table, and
Right.
there it is.
Yeah.
And you keep working that way with this guy at the end who's last. And by now I've got this information already from the last billet, and I can just answer the question and take it from him and say, okay, let's check it out. Or I might even, at this case, before I even answer it all the way, you've got one last question. Here, let me take it. Let me just leave it in the middle of the table where you can all keep it in view and then answer it, you see?
Yes.
It's just there's all kinds of possibilities. And it's, as I said, it's different than a typical one-ahead routine where you have a billet hidden and you pretend to read it, or you are opening this and pretending that it's what's on this one and then switching, but rather, in this case, you take it and you switch for the one that you had already stolen. So it's like each time you're stealing a billet away ahead of time, you know, divulging the information from the previous one, and by this time, you know, I'm already opened it up. Yesterday when I did it, I was able to get so far ahead that I would have this thing opened up, and I'm reading it in my lap and refolding it, but while they're still checking out the one I just did.
Right, right.
And it's that clean, and then
You can almost improvise the routine as you go.
yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So this is just one way to do the Bert Reese routine with multiple sitters.
Terrific.
We are going to try sort of a dark effect now. Is there anyone here who has someone who they can think of who's passed away? Maybe an older person, an aunt or an uncle, someone whose name you wouldn't mind writing down on one of these pieces of paper? Absolutely. You do? Okay. And you do that without letting me see it. And everybody else take one of these papers and write somebody whose name, of someone who's living, okay? And while you're doing that, just let me get this paper up, this container, and don't let anyone see each other's papers, of course. And when you're done, just refold it. Was it all folded up? Yeah, just put it in there. Go ahead. Okay. Fair? And no one could see anything. Normally, this was done with a hat or something like that, but I would just use this. This is not the dead person, the person who's passed away. No, I didn't think so. You open it and read what it says.
Gene.
Gene, who wrote that? And person's not passed away. Okay, this person is, no. Open that up. Read what it says. Mora, who wrote that? Is definitely alive. Okay. Now I have a feeling about this one. I have a colder feeling about this person. This is the person, I believe, who has passed on. Just take it, since you're the only one who knows. Would you open it up and just say yes or no? Is that, in fact, the person?
Yes, it is.
It is. Would you think of the person's name? Is it an older person, or was an older person? Well, what was the relationship to you?
He's my uncle.
Your uncle. And that would be, wasn't that your Uncle Lewis who passed on? Lewis?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Orville Meyer came up with a living and dead test that was just about impromptu. Yes, it is impromptu.
It
so
is,
Let's
yeah.
talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, this is a powerful effect you can do anywhere, because you know I'm going to use my pad and 3 sheets that I'm going to rip in half to get 5 billets and a dummy. But obviously, you know, no matter where you go, all you have to do is get paper and just, you know, tear it up. Bert Reese, as I'm going to talk about later, used the inside of a book, the extra page. It was pulp paper and very silent when he opened it, but these pads that we have, they're really good. When you open and close them, you really can't hear hardly any noise. It's great. So anyways, you have one dummy.
All right.
That goes in the pocket, okay? And the rest, let's just do this to save time. One's going to be a dead slip, and the other one's going to be alive people, okay? So we'll just put alive, or A for alive, and D for dead, okay?
All right.
Now here's what happens. You have one person, you say, okay, think of someone who's passed on, and you write their name on that piece of paper, and then you have the other people write names that are living names. Actually, you don't need a dummy slip. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. You just need the slips that you're actually using.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what's so cool about this. You can use 5, which is what I have here, or you could use we could use another one. I'll just take this one and throw it in like an extra one. 6, 7, it's up to you.
All right.
All you have to do is pay attention to the dead name. Now, when this comes, as you're gathering them up, what I did yesterday is just give it a sort of an extra fold. I told everybody to fold it once, but I gave him sort of an extra fold, so it looked different. than the
All right.
rest, okay?
Okay.
And they all threw it into the container here, okay, just like that. Mix them up. So now I can look in and I know which one's the dead name because it's got that extra fold.
Right.
Okay, so these are different ways you could present this. I could take one out openly that's not a dead name and think about it and say, no, this is not a dead name. Open it up and say, okay, throw it out like that. And towards somebody, say, you open it, read out loud the name. Who wrote it? You know, somebody over here, and it's a living person. Yes.
Okay.
Now I go back in, I finger palm a live name, and I take out the dead name openly.
All right.
And I go, you know, no, this is not, this is a living person. And I open it up, just like I did the first time, and I look at it and say, yeah, that's what I think. I fold it up and do a switch. Now I switched it. Now that's a living name. I say,
Right.
open it up, see whose it is. He opens it up, somebody says, oh, I wrote that, that's a living name. Now I go back in, drop this,
Okay.
and come out with another living name, open. See, so except for that one time, it's totally clean. Now it's a living name, and then finally I pick out the dead name. There's still a couple left in here. I can do it whenever I want. That's
Right.
a complete freedom. And I stop and I say, no, this feels cold to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at the person who wrote the dead name and I say, here, take this. Tell me, open it up and just look at it and tell me yes or no. Is it the person, you know, who you wrote down? And they open it and they go, yeah. And then now I'm in a situation, just think of the name, just concentrate.
And now you know the name.
And I go, it was Lewis, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever. Yes, that's a killer effect.
Yeah.
And look, it's clean. All you need is paper and a container to put them in. And that, you know, that's a mystery that will get by anybody. That's a super mystery. So,
It's called dead.
dead. Here's a test that I have been doing for so many years. I hate to even admit it. I can't tell you how many years ago I made these cards up. I actually drew these myself, and after all these years, I still have them. And what I wanted was a test that contained just a whole bunch of different simple designs, you know, and that people could choose from, but in as fair a way as possible. And I'm going to use Diego for this and Angela, okay? Let me just mix them up a little bit here. And I know that they're kind of old, the cards are old and marked, and you might think I know the marks on some of the backs, so we'll do it in such a way that I don't see the backs or the fronts. Let me just set them on the slate. And you just reach off and grab like some and just hold them against your chest. Don't even look at them, you just hold them against your chest. And you do the same thing. Okay, just grab, not all of them, just some. Okay, so that it's completely random, okay? And again, to show you they're totally different, all different, okay? Just take a peek at yours in such a way that there's no way I can see any particular part of that drawing. Do you got it in your mind? It's not too simple, is it?
No.
It's not too complicated either, is it?
No.
Can I see what it is? Hold it up, turn it around, show everybody. Yeah, that's okay, go ahead, clap. See, and they're all different, really are. You take a look at yours. Do you need to look at it again? Because that was kind of short. I am not getting anything from you. I want to draw it, but I can't get any. I'm not picking up anything. Wait a minute. I think I draw it this way to make more sense. No. Do you think I got it? Let's see what it was. Yeah, that's what I drew. It was a cross just like that. Okay. Thank you so much.
You did a drawing well, not a duplication effect, but somebody picked a card with a symbol, and you plucked that thought from their mind, and that's an original animate effect called extrasensory perception.
I actually did this a while back in a different set of videos. This is one of my favorite effects from Animate. This is probably The first effect I actually made up and did from Practical Mental Effects. These set of cards actually date back to when I was like in my 20s. And I know
And they're not on papyrus.
and it's okay, Jim. The day is young yet.
I understand. I understand.
The drawings are right out of the book, and I learned a lesson because when I used to do this years ago, I had memorized the order of the cards. And then, when I hadn't done it in a while, and I went to do it on Easy to Master, I thought, well, I'll just use the cards again, and I just brushed my memory up so I could go ahead and do them and do the effect. And sure enough, halfway through, I forgot what the cards were. And it just taught me a lesson. There's a reason why Animan suggests putting the list on the slate and pencil. It's for some crazy reason, this is just a general bit of advice, your memory goes on you when you start getting nervous. And so that's what I was saying earlier when you asked me about a different effect. I always have a backup, even if I'm sure I remember something. Because if I know I have the backup, then I'm less likely to forget it in the first place.
Right.
Because I know I can always get it again. In this case, the first time I did it, I didn't have the backup on the slate, and sure enough, I forgot it. It messed me up. So this time, I did it the way I should have done in the first place, the way Animan said. And what I did is this set of cards is set in an order. Starts with the circle, and just which is right here. Just the order. So, well, you'll have to look in the book to get the whole order, but it circles. Triangle, then a triangle in a circle, and then all the different shapes follow, then followed by pictures and what have you. And that entire list, that order, is written with a regular pencil on the slate. Now, I do not know whether or not, if I tilt this thing, the camera is going to be able to pick up the writing, because the way it works is if you look at the slate from almost any angle, you won't see anything.
Right.
And you certainly won't see anything from any distance. But if you tilt it and you're looking for the marks, you can see them clear as a bell. They just kind of glow out at you. And as I said, though, if you just take it and you hold it just casually, you can show it front and back. No one ever sees that. So the routine is, and I still keep this down in the beginning.
Sure.
I show the cards and do this slap shuffle. At one time I called it a Charlier shuffle, and Richard Hatch told me, he says, that's not really the name, it's a slap shuffle. So I believe him, he's a scholar. So you do this, and then I just drop the cards on here and go to the first person and say, lift the bunch off and hold them up against your chest.
Okay.
And see, that's real good because it looks so fair, because you can't see the front or the back of the card. Now the second person does that, and then as I come back and set the cards aside, I lift these off, and I even casually say, and don't forget they're all different. And as I toss them down, I just see what that one is, that last symbol over there, which in this case is the circle, which is the beginning of the list. So since it's the circle, the card that they're looking at is the one before it, which in this case, because it's the end of the list, will be the cup and saucer.
Yep, okay.
The coffee cup and saucer. So that's what I draw over here on this side. I draw, the coffee cup. This is, of course, not as good as I would normally do it in the show, but I would draw the coffee cup and the saucer and ask them to look at show their design, and that's what it is. And then I show mine. And as I take them back and I say, remember, they're all different. And again, I just spread through, there's the pail. Drop them down like that. Ask the second person who's holding it like this to peek at theirs. I look down again at my list. There's the pail. And next to it, right to the left, is the flag.
Okay.
And what I usually do for the second drawer is I just draw the flag right over the list, you see. And like this. And then ask them to show their drawing. There's the flag. And I turn mine around, and there's the flag, the exact same drawing.
Right.
And that's it, simple as that. And the great thing about this business of writing in a lead pencil is if you erase this off, like with the cloth, look at it, it's still there.
Yeah.
It doesn't erase away. I don't know how long that'll keep on going before I have to redo it. So, well, just one more great thing about using plain ordinary slates. You could write whatever you want on here, a cue list, and they have all these fancy gizmos, you know, that can cue you, you know? I mean, you even bought me one. It's a great thing where you slide the thing and all of a sudden on the slate, all these, you know, it's like the old book
Yeah,
of
you see your whole
mind.
crib.
Yeah, but I mean, you can do it just as well using
Yep.
a plain slate. People are going to write to me, I know, and say, where can I get slates like that? I got a whole bunch at Hobby Lobby
Okay.
where I live. And they were-
Michael's,
yeah, dirt
places
cheap,
like
a couple
that.
bucks each, you know. I got a whole stack of them, you know, and I have them forever. And finally, you know, there was a time, just to give you like an update, and, you know, if you want to get more modern, like for instance, Paralabs makes a set of picture cards that are really cleverly marked on the back. So if you wanted to and you memorized the list, after the two people grabbed cards off, you could just look at the back, you know, and know what each of the other people had. And the marks are, you could never find them in a million years. It's a great product. This is close to my heart because this is what I've done for the last, you know, blankety blank amount of years of my career. But the point I want to make is that's great. You know, I'm not putting anything down like that's some great new modern ways of doing things. However, don't discard the fact that you have to look at it. I mean, this is just so natural. Look at, they're all different. You know?
Right,
That
right.
kind of
Nobody would ever
brazenness.
suspect you're looking at a key. You know?
Yeah. And, you know, that kind of, you can't be afraid of that kind of thing. You just got to do it and do it without thinking about it. And that's one of the reasons so many people shy away from some of these older works is because that scares them.
Right.
They
It's
think,
so
oh,
bold that-
yeah, it's so
yeah.
bold. But no, just do it. Don't even think about it, and it'll go right by.
Great.
A lot of times people say to me, Richard, if you're such a great mentalist, why are you wearing glasses? And I tell them, well, so I can see. But you know, if I take them off, I'm already half blind. Then this completes the other half. This is a blindfold. Hold it up to your eyes, if you don't mind, just to see. Can you see through that?
Nope.
This is heavy-duty material. Check that out. You see anything? No? Would one of you, or both of you together, if I hold this up to my eyes, could you just type behind my head to effectively blindfold me? Oh, slipping down here. You got it? Just don't mess up my hair. Okay. Yeah, a little tighter, maybe, so it won't. Okay, is that fair? Can you see? I'm all blindfolded up. Okay, now we're okay. Would you take out like the jokers and the extra cards and stuff like that? So I can't see, and just let me. Diego, I think I'll do it with you this time, okay?
Okay.
And are they? I think I could feel from the curve. I think they're face down now, aren't they? Because you know, some kind, when you get new cards, they have a little curve, and I can feel that these are face down, so I know that they're face down. Let me just. I can't see, but I think I can shuffle without seeing. Okay, Diego, what I'd like you to do is to take the cards and just cut them like that in your own hands. Go ahead. Did you do it?
Just once?
Again, if you'd like. I don't care. Done?
Yep.
Okay, now don't look at them. Slide the top 3 cards off and put them in your pocket somewhere.
Okay.
Is that okay? Okay, fair? Okay, so you got 3. You didn't look at them, did you?
No.
Okay, now what I would like you to do is to reach in and take 1 card and pull it out real quick and hold it up against your chest.
Okay.
Okay, you didn't look at it yet, did you?
Nope.
Okay, take a peek at it.
Okay.
Is it a black card?
Mm-hmm.
Look at it again. Is it a higher card?
Yep.
Are you looking at the Jack of Spades?
Yes, sir.
Let's see that. Okay, grab another card out and hold it against your chest.
Another one?
Yeah, just grab another one. Peek at it.
Alright.
Now, I don't think you didn't pick another black card this time. You picked a red card this time?
Yes.
I thought so. Are you looking at the 2 of Hearts?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You know what? You have one card left in your pocket. Now, obviously, you were looking at cards, and I was trying to pick up your thoughts. I've been blindfolded since the cards were still in the box. But you still have one card in your pocket, and no one could possibly, you didn't look at the card yourself. I can't explain this at all. I just want to say the 6 of clubs. Would you take the card out of your pocket, please? Is it? 6 of clubs, thank you.
Well, this is one of my favorite animate effects, and I know we covered this in Easy to Master Mental Miracles, but you know, it's such a great effect, and we couldn't possibly cover the material in practical mental effects without including this.
Right, and yeah, you so much effect for such a simple method. The deck is stacked. For this effect, even though I love my breakthrough card system, it's better to use a stack like 8 king size Stebbins. In this case, I had the Dynamo deck, which is the original size Stebbins. Cards are 4 apart.
Okay.
And the reason why it's better to use this is because no matter where you cut the deck, you're going to get, and take 3 cards, you're going to get the opposite 2 cards of the same color and opposite suits. And I'll explain why that's important in a second. The blindfold is nothing. It's just a piece of cloth. What's so great about this, if you carried around a deck of cards stacked, I mean, if you were in someone's house, you could take a dishcloth or a towel
Right.
and do this because it's nothing special, or, I mean, it's not really that much to carry this around either, or one of our versatile blindfolds, which is legitimate blindfold if you want it to be. Anyway, it's just simply you just put the blindfold on, you can, you know, nothing, no business about the plaster or anything over the eyes, just the blindfold itself, because it's not even necessary. You can do it without the blindfold, but that just adds a nice element to it. So you can see down your nose, and you can spot what the bottom card is going to be to clue in what cards. But I give the deck after a false shuffle or 2 to the person and ask them to, you know, cut it, and then to slide 3 cards off the top of the deck and put them in their pocket.
All right.
And don't look at them.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. When you can go ahead and do, you have
Well, I don't have a shirt pocket.
Okay,
but-
well, it could be a pants pocket.
Okay,
See, that's what's
all
the
right.
neat thing about this. People always used to say, well, it can only be a jacket pocket, but it can be any pocket. It can be a shirt pocket or a pant pocket.
All right.
It doesn't really matter, because no matter what pocket you use, if you tell a person to quickly reach in and pull a card out, they almost always go from the top down. Now, this routine, because of the way it's constructed, even if you go the other way, it's not going to be terrible. It's still going to be fine. So you need to see the bottom card of the deck.
All right.
So I know the cards right away are Ace, 5, 9, because that's the next 3 cards in the stack. And they're going to be, you actually cut right to the beginning of the stack. Ace of spades, 5 of hearts, 9 of clubs. So 3 cards in your pocket right now with the Ace of spades on top. So what I do, and I've got the blindfold on, so that's why it's actually less suspicious when I hold the cards in my hands and glance down. You can't see me glancing down.
Right.
So the blindfold actually helps. And it's better to have a blindfold on than not to have a blindfold on. I'm looking away, and I say, quickly reach in and pull 1 card out and hold it against your chest. Now, if you do it fairly quickly, almost everybody comes down from the top down, almost always. And I say, okay, peek at your card.
Okay.
And what I say is, I'm getting the impression it's a black card. Okay. Now, even if they went backwards, it would still be a black card, because it's going to be the Ace of spades or the 9 of clubs are the 2 black cards, 8, 5, 9. But let's say you said, no, it's a red card.
Right.
Well, the good thing about this is I know then it would have to be the 5 of hearts, because it's the only red card you have. So you know, even if 99% of the time you're going to be right on, but even if somebody does something to take the wrong card out ahead of time, you're only going to miss a little bit and be off by 1. You know right away. So I say it's a black card, yes, and I just make sure you did go the right way. I say it's a spade.
Yes.
And you say yes, and I say, I believe it's the real high spade, the Ace of spades. And boom. And we got a great reaction yesterday, because you're sitting there blindfolded. All this stuff has happened. The cards were selected after
They were
you've been
cut,
blindfolded
you know.
and cut, and now he's taking them out. You know, it's obvious. It seems like it would be obvious. You could take any card out. Grab another one real quick and hold it against your chest. And I usually say something like, I don't believe you, this isn't a red card, is it?
It is.
Yeah. Now, you notice the questioning. It isn't a red card, is it? Because if you said no, I would have said,
I didn't think
I didn't
so.
think so,
Yeah.
no. But you say, yes, it is. Of course it is. It's the Five of Hearts. And then for the third one, this is what's nice because it's got a real climax to it. I say, you know what, don't take it out and look at it. You know, obviously you're looking at, I'm trying to pick up impressions, but instead, you know, and I can't explain, this is my favorite line to use whenever I do something like, I can't explain how I can do this, but I just do it. Here, I'm getting the feeling it's a 9 of clubs. Take it out, and there it is, the 9 of clubs. You whip off the blindfold, and perfect little effect. Can do it surrounded, do it anywhere. It always hits hard, and it's a great effect. Piece of tissue paper. I'd like you to look it over. Share it with your friends. No, you can check it out, please. And we were joking around before the camera started rolling about the glass. It's really like a bourbon glass, which I coming from Kentucky, that's appropriate. And the cards over here are actually the same cards that we used just a minute ago, okay? Just hold on to that for a second. Now, it's important to me that I actually put the extra cards in backwards. That you all know there's no tricks here, so shuffle the cards. Can you shuffle?
I can try.
Okay.
Might want to have someone
Yeah,
else.
that's probably good enough. Who should I do this with this time? You want? Well, you try it. Okay, here, just take the cards. They're all shuffled. Take about a quarter of the deck and flip it face up. Yeah, and just turn it over on top of the deck. Okay, now go down a little bit deeper. Beyond that, flip those face up. Now go down way near the bottom and flip the whole bunch face up. Now turn the whole deck over. I was just trying to randomly. Okay, go to the first face down card. Okay, that's it right there. Take it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want you to think that anything sneaky with it. And just look at it. Look at it again for me. Okay, concentrate on it. Hold that glass up like this. And just think of the card. It's crazy. Is it a black card?
Yes.
Is it an 8?
Yes.
Is it the 8 of spades?
Yes.
Let's see it. There it is, the 8 of spades. I'm going to touch it. Dump the tissue paper out. Or take it out.
I'll use it.
No, either one. Open it up. She's got a look on her face. Is that incredible? Look at this. Can you see it? It's kind of light. Can you see what it says? It says the 8 of spades.
Well, Stuart James is probably one of magic and mentalism's most prolific creators, certainly, and this is one of his contributions to the Jinx, I guess, originally.
Yes.
And it's called Prophetic Tissue.
Now, I knew Stuart, and he was brilliant. I changed this one because this to me was magical thinking.
Okay.
And it had some problems the way I saw it. That's just my opinion. Whereas the one we'll be talking after this, half and half, that we'll be discussing, that to me is perfect. I couldn't improve anything about that. This one, here's the basic premise. You take a piece of tissue paper, you crumble it up, put it in a glass, somebody picks a card. When they take the tissue paper out, they open it up, or you open it up, and there in ghostly writing is the name of the card, which is a nice effect. The way he chose to achieve that is the old laundry ticket effect.
Okay.
where you have two pieces of tissue paper and you put some glue here and you stick this one to it and then crumble it all up. So this is all crumbled up together now in a little ball here. And with the laundry ticket, you rip it up, you bunch them up, turn it over, open it up, and it's restored, and you throw it away. The problem with using that kind of thinking here is threefold. First of all, this is light colored tissue paper. He recommends white. I decided this looked a little bit more ghostly, a little bit off-white. But unlike the laundry tickets where you have the big Chinese writing that covers the thing stuck on the back, you don't have that here. So you have to cover that with your thumb.
Right.
Okay? Secondly, when you crush it up and throw it in the glass, later when you take it out, you got to make sure you open it to the right side, or you'll be opening it back up to the same side that you showed initially. And lastly, unlike the laundry ticket effect, where you are standing on stage and you show it restored, and that's the effect, you can put it aside. Nobody wants to see the ticket, really. But in this case, if writing appears, everybody's going to want to see the paper.
Sure.
And you've got a piece of blank one stuck on the other side.
Right.
So given all that, I thought it just was much easier and much more logical just to switch the two papers, because it's almost like a cigarette paper. Once you crush this up, it's very small. It's like doing torn and restored cigarette paper.
Right.
So with all that said, here we go. I have a deck of cards, and you could do this however you want. You have to force a card. This can't be a stacked deck and you learn the card, because the card already has to be written out on the paper. So what I decided to do is I have a short card in this deck, and it's the Eight of Spades. So I always have the Eight of Spades in my breakthrough card system deck. So you write that on one of these papers, and this is not going to work on here, so let me set it down on something harder, because I'm writing it with a grease pencil.
Okay.
And I'll show you why. I'm just writing it basically like handwriting, like this. Okay, that's how it looks when I first write it. But the reason I like to write it with a grease pencil on this kind of paper is because watch what happens. Once you crush it up into a real tiny little ball, and then open it up again carefully so you don't rip it, you see now it looks a little eerier
Okay.
because of all the creasing on there. And I didn't even crush it up that much. It'll look even more eerie when I show it to you again in a second. So that's why I prepare it like that. So that paper's got the force card on it. It's crushed up, and this time I'm going to really crush it up into a tiny little ball. And that's so small, you see, that it hardly takes up any space. I can keep it palm like this and be ready to go. Also, because it's off-white, it doesn't tend to show as bad.
Right.
There's less opportunity for it to flash.
Sure.
So a glass, a nice bourbon glass that we'll use for Maker's Mark later on, right where I live. Okay, deck of cards with that short card in there.
Okay.
Take them out, I can give them to you to throw away the jokers, say shuffle them up. And now I need to use a force, and I decided to use a very standard force. It's certainly not in the Anneman book, but you know, I believe he says just use any method of forcing, and so now you happen to have left it on the bottom. That's okay, but let's say you didn't. What I would do is I would just take the deck back, and as I'm talking, just do a casual cut, maybe a Kaplan fan cut,
Okay.
where you just do this here, and then I say, okay, now do this. Now I've got the 8 on top now because of that. All I did was cut it at the short
Sure.
card. And I say to you, okay, lift off about a quarter of the deck and flip them face up.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. But we begin by showing you this tissue paper.
Right. Okay.
Crush it up, please, into a little ball, like that.
Right.
And I might even say, no, we need it into a real little ball like this, see? And I've just added the two together,
Okay.
you see? So it looks like, because you can do that. Look at it, even
Sure.
under close scrutiny, it looks like one piece. I just had this one here. I could crush it myself or have you crush it and then say, no, real small. And I just roll this up as they come up and just put it right against it like in Tarbell one with sponge balls or whatever.
Right.
And go like this. And, oop, don't do that. Just crush it together and just show it,
Right.
okay? And then reach over, take the glass like this, and just take the one with the writing on it and drop it in. I mean, nothing, again, nothing fancy. There's the other one. I just took the one with the writing, drop it in, and then say, okay, now here, take the deck, and I
Right.
would have slid the deck and opened it up. So now the work's done.
Yes.
And so now we got the 8 of spades on top, like I showed you.
Yeah.
I said, take about a quarter of the deck and turn it face up,
All right.
and drop it on top of the deck. Now cut down deeper, about halfway, and flip that bunch face up.
Right.
Then listen how I handle this. Drop it back on top. You know what? Do it again. Do it right down near the bottom. Go ahead. Flip another bunch face up
All right.
and drop it on. Now, you know, pick up the whole deck and turn it over. That's pretty messed up now. Now just slide through until you come to the first card face down. And that has to be the ace of spades. It's a force.
8 of spades.
Or
right?
8 of spades. And I say, okay, take a look at it. And what
Right.
is it?
Eight of spades.
Okay. 8 of spades. That was fair, right? You can see the cards are all, you shuffle them up and everything else under the sun. And say, okay, take the paper out and take a look at it. And, you know, it's a very simple premise, but it's very spooky at the same time. It's one of those things that just plays well. And see, this time I crushed it up really good, so it should look even neater when it opens up.
Yeah.
Because as you're opening it, it's almost like at first you don't realize something's written on it, and then as you begin to open it more, you start to see it. It just has a spooky look to it, you see? That look a little spooky?
Yeah.
And some kind of spirit writing, and of course they can keep it now, unlike the original version, and that's the effect. It's, again, simple, straightforward, very powerful. You have to try this with a regular lay audience, and then you'll appreciate how good this is.
Prophetic tissue.
Yes. We're going to try a unique test now. And I'm going to use U4 here, but then you're going to come into play in just a few minutes. So don't you do this, but you folks out there, I want you each to think of a 3-digit number in your mind. Just picture it in your mind, decide on a 3-digit number. And again, please don't think of a number like 222 or 333, but make it interesting. Just right now, settle your mind on a number, and you're changing tone. Okay, now it's important I get the addition right. That'll be that. Carry the 1 and 1 more. Okay, right there. So we'll keep the end result, if you will. Now, I'm going to ask you each to jot down your numbers, the same number you just thought of a second ago. But I don't want any of you to be influenced by what your neighbor sitting next to you may have chosen as their number. So please don't look as he writes his number next to you. Okay, so write your number right on top. Don't look. Okay. Write your number right under his. And you, Taylor, write your number underneath. This is fair. And finally, you write your number underneath. And thank you. Now, Dan, you're going to draw a line here, and you're going to add the numbers up. Just hold it just like that. Go ahead. Let him do it. Who changed their mind before?
I actually did. I didn't.
Okay. What was the number, the original number that you were going to think of?
923.
Okay, but you changed it from that. That was a good thing. Okay. Somebody else, after I said don't think of the same digits, actually thought of 222 or something, or a number. You did that for a minute, right? And then they said, no, I'm not going to mess you up. I'm going to. What was it?
I was thinking 777.
777. I knew it was 3 numbers alike, and then he thought, no, I really shouldn't do that. I should do what he said. You know, that's. Did you get a total?
I did.
What was the total?
1789.
1789. Okay, and you're sure of the addition?
I checked it twice.
Okay, so all the numbers that they came up with were totaled up to 1789. let me just see that for a second. This was your number right on top?
Yep.
Okay. This was your number next. And of course, the total was 1789. Your number was 3 right there. And your number was 1789 total, I mean. And finally, that's your number right there. And again, the total, yes, is 1789. Yes, 1789. The total of all things. What we just did with him adding up your individual figures to come up with that total of 1789 is the second time that happened since we began. Because what I had done before you even wrote your numbers down was to do the same thing, and I arrived at the total of 1789.
So Dr. Jacob Daly, who is no stranger to those who are students of card magic, came up with a pretty bold addition test, which is what this is called. So let's talk about this.
Yeah, this is, I used a similar idea in my no camera, or I'm sorry, my live without a net videos.
Yes.
And this is even more bold. Plus we did it up close. I have to show it to you. It's, you have to have some fortitude to do this one.
All right.
What you do is you create a problem to begin with. Now I've written down 4 numbers in different handwriting. Now you notice all the numbers I've written down are lower numbers.
Okay.
I don't have any 7s or 8s or 9s in there,
Right.
because then people are going to have to carry a number when they add them up. Whoever
Sure.
adds them up, and they're more likely to make a mistake. So I use 2s and 1s and 4s and 3s. So we have 1 and 3 is 4 and 6, okay? And that's a 7 there, right? 1 and 4 is 5, 8. I'm sorry, 8, 6. And 2 and 4 is 6, 8, 9. 986. So that's what you have to remember. It's important.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so now this is in the pocket. So this is how to play right now. I come out, I look at the audience, I ask everyone to think of a 3-digit number. And now this is very important. You don't just write down the end result, but you look at each person and you, okay, and then look at somebody else and okay. You see, and I'm just writing down, I'll turn this way, I'm looking at somebody else, like I'm getting something from them, and somebody else, and no, here, okay. And say, okay, now let me just do this, and you add like you're gonna add them up, but in effect, what I'm gonna do, in pretty big letters, is I'm gonna put the 986, okay? Just like that.
Right.
And then I say, okay, let me just erase these off, and I leave this,
Okay.
the bottom line, even if it gets smudged a little, that's fine, and the number, and put it aside. So now I reach in my pocket and I take out the pad, but you have to hold it. Now, in the book, it talks about using blank cards. You
All
can
right.
do that too. I just have a pad, a small thin pad. So one side has my numbers, this side has nothing. And I approach 4 different people and I say, okay, your number, just quickly write it up on top, your 3-digit number. And I hold the pad, I don't let it loose. And of course, you're reaching over my arm now, so that's a little
Right.
bit awkward, but
Sure.
it wouldn't be if I was walking around standing up and second person writes a number, the third person writes a number, and then the fourth person writes a number.
Okay.
Okay, and then I take the pen back and I go to somebody further away. In this case, I had somebody sitting in a chair, and as I approach them, I turn this over.
Okay.
Simple as that. And I come up to the person, I say, okay, here, let me draw a line. Would you add up the numbers?
Okay.
Okay. Now, actually, I should point out something. As I'm walking away toward this other person, I draw a line under here, too.
Right. Okay.
Then I turn over and I draw a second line on the other side. I say, I approach him and I say, okay, add these numbers up. And I leave it in their hand. Now, this is the part that when people read this, they say, I could never do that. The person's going to turn it over and they're going to see what's written on it. You have to just have the guts to do it. You just have to just do it and hand it to them and walk away. I've never had anybody turn it over and say, what's this? I guess if that ever happened, I'd say, oh, that was from last night.
Another
Just
show.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. But anyway, so you come up with the total.
Right.
And I reach over and I take it and I say, what's the total?
986.
986. And then I look at the other people and I say, you could have chosen any numbers. And while I'm doing that, I flip it over and you notice I've gotten my writer on my thumb.
Right.
While I was walked away, turned away while you were writing it. So now I'm holding it here like this, and I say, okay, let's double check. And as I'm talking, I rewrite the 986 underneath the figures that you wrote.
Right.
Now I go up to the person and I just nip off the thumb tip writer or the nail writer like this. So now it's here. And I go over to the first person. Your number was where I don't say the number. I say, that's your number? Okay. And the total was 986. I go to the second person. That's your number? The total was 986. Go to the third person. That's your number. And the total was 986. So how you're reinforcing over and over again that the number 986, last number, this is your number, and the total is 986. It almost sounds as though all four people confirmed the addition of their numbers was 986. And then that's where I say, which I thought was kind of real clever. I'm sorry, but I really did think this was clever. I say, you know, four people thought of numbers, wrote them down, we added them up, and we got a total of 986 just now. But that's not the first time that's happened tonight. Because just before you did it, I did the same thing in my head, and I came up with the total 986. And that just really seemed to play really strong because it implies that I didn't just predict the total, that I predicted all the numbers and what they would add up with. It implies you predicted everything.
Yes.
Because everything was so fair in checking the numbers and what have you. So that's the addition effect.
Great.
I'm going to show you something with ESP cards. Now these are not the same as the playing cards we've been using up until now, but these are like designs, you see? Different designs. There's these wavy lines, there's a circle, there's a plus sign, there's a star in there, and there's also the cross. And they're repeated 5 times throughout the deck to make 25 different designs. And I'm going to take 5 different designs here like this. Okay? And say your name again for me.
Paulo.
Paulo. P-A-U-L-O. I'm going to get that right, Paulo. Okay, here's the 5 designs, okay? Now here's what I want you to do. I just want you to look at them and decide your mind on one of the designs. Do you have one in your mind?
Yep.
Okay, that's all. And I'll put the rest of the deck over here. You just think of the design and put the cards behind my back and okay, this is the one I'm going to go with. I don't believe it's any of these 4. Which design did you think of? Tell me.
It was the circle.
Now, why?
No reason.
Because like that's the simplest one.
Yeah.
Usually people go for the more complex ones, like the star
Yeah, I
or
did
the
look
square.
at that one first, but then
Okay, so you did think of this, but then you said, no, you're going to go with the circle, maybe even just to try to mess me up?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the fact of the matter is the circle is what I had chosen out of the before. Now, I know I handled the cards. I handled the cards there for a few minutes, so let me do this. Let me just put the 5 designs here again, and this time what I'll do is I'll turn my back, and I want you to just come over and just peek at any one of those designs and put it right back, and then just go like that and mush the cards together face down, okay? So I'll stand over here with my back to you. I can't see anything. Go ahead. I'm not trying to watch you. Just, did you peek at one?
Yep.
Okay. Did you mush them together like I said?
Yep.
Okay.
They're mushed.
They're mushed, okay. Now, look, I'm just take them like this, and I'm just going to drop them in my pocket. Think of the design that you chose. I don't believe it was the circle this time. I don't believe it was, wait, It was the star.
It was a star.
That was the star that you thought of. Okay, very good. You know what? Let's do this. Mix those cards up. Okay, so you don't know the position of any cards. Okay, stand over here. Look, I'm just going to put these right into my pocket like this. Okay? On the count of 3, you're going to reach into my pocket and take out one card.
Okay.
Ready? On the count of 3, you're going to reach in my pocket and you're going to take out the plus sign. 1, 2, 3. Do it right now. Just reach in my pocket and take out a plus sign. Thank you very much. Give him a big round of applause. Thank you.
Well, this is an ESP card effect that was invented by Anneman.
Anneman.
That has the rather unwieldy name of Yggdrasil.
Right.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
That's a tree, right?
It is a tree. It's the
of life,
Nordic tree of life.
from which, if you cut pieces off, they become runes
Yeah, well,
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what that has to do with ESP cards is...
Yeah, I'm just
beyond me,
happy if
but-
we never have to say that again.
Okay, then we won't. You need 2 decks to do this with. Standard ESP decks that have 5 of each of the 5 designs.
Okay.
Circle, plus signs, wavy lines, squares, and stars. Now, you're only going to use 1 openly, but you need 2 to set this whole thing up.
Okay.
And let's not even worry about the extra cards. What you need is 4 of the star signs. And by the way, you just let me just mix these up like this so it'll look like an ordinary deck. And then you need another, from this deck, 5 designs. 2, 3, 4, and I'm sorry, this
Now,
is
did you
5th
take one of
design.
the stars?
Yeah, I only want 4 there. I'm sorry, I want this last one here. So 4 go there and 5 are over here. All this stuff we don't need, so that's out of the picture. Now, these 5 designs, which I'll arrange in standard order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right. 1
Stand-
circle, 2 lines for the cross, the 3 wavy lines, 4 strokes for the square, 5 points for the stars. So,
Exactly.
all right.
So these, now you have to improvise with what you're wearing, because I have a jacket that has this little pocket down here,
Yes.
and I also have this pocket up here. This is the side I'm going to use. I'm going to take these 5 cards from the second deck, and they go in here. Okay?
All right.
No, I'm sorry. They don't go in there. They go up here. You'll see why in a second.
Okay.
They go up here. Okay. This is going to come into play later, this second pocket. These 4 star cards are going, I'm going to have to stand here now. First of all, before I do, let me just point out the rest of the deck goes into the box like it is. And then finally, these 4 star cards go under the belt. Let me turn around here like this, so that you can get to them with the cards behind your back. And that's the setup. As Anneman points out, you could also, if you wanted to, have a paper clip
Yep.
with the cards hanging beneath your coat. And at this point, since you have to be standing to do this, I'll stand here and I'll run through the routine, okay? What happens is you take out the ESP cards, you show them to be all different, and then you say, I'm going to take out 5 of the cards, 1 of each design, okay? 2, 3, 4, and 5. And by the way, you make sure you leave at least 1 star card on top of here.
Okay.
Okay? And you take out these 5 designs and you put the rest of the deck down and you show them and you ask someone to think of one of the designs.
All right.
And you've got one in your mind.
Okay.
Now here's what happens. It appears that I'm going to take these cards, this is the effect that you want to create, that you're going to take these cards, put them behind my back, remove 1 card, and put it into my pocket.
Okay.
That's what you want it to look like. That's not what happens at all. You have the 5 cards in the known order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. you reach behind your back and you remove, behind your back, you remove the extra cards
Okay.
from under your belt. So now what I have behind my back, so I have the 5 cards in known order, and I have the 4 duplicate star cards. This is all while I'm appearing to read your mind and remove a card. Now here's what happens. I come out with the cards just like this. It's the way I did it yesterday. And I hold these cards here and I say, I'm going to put this one in my pocket.
Okay.
Now you see I kept that moving like this. Okay, look at, I'm going to put this one in my pocket so you have no way, but because they're ESP cards, even if I did it slow, look at, I'm going to put this one in my pocket.
Sure.
You will never be able to see the thickness because they have no borders. And I say, and that of course leaves 1, 2, 3, 4 that I'm not choosing. So that's what makes it look so effective. I had nothing in my hand. I put 5 cards behind my back. I supposedly 1 in my pocket, and I've got 4 left, so it's all fair.
Sure.
Then I say, what card did you choose?
Wavy lines.
Wavy lines. Now that's the 3rd one down. So I have all 5 cards. And why did you choose that? And as I'm asking you that, I'm counting down to the wavy lines. And I say, well, you know, I took 1 card and put it in my pocket. The wavy lines, you see? So that, you know, that seems like a definite hit. So I say, okay, let's do this. Let me put 1 of each design down on the table. Again, this time I'm going to step away. You're going to peek at one of the designs.
Okay.
Now, in effect, these are all star designs now. Those are the ones that I had put on the top after I did the first phase.
Okay.
So I turn away and I say, okay, pick one of those designs.
Right.
Just look at it.
Yep.
And after you've done so, square them all up and like mix them up a little bit so you don't even know which one is which.
All right.
Okay, now here's what happens. I reach over and I do this. I say, let me put these into my pocket. And what happens is as I come under my coat, I drop them into this pocket,
Okay.
but my hand goes up to this pocket. Now, as Animate says, if you want, you could even have a letter or 2 in here. And you could first reach in and take that letter or something out, then pick these up and do that move.
Okay.
So it looks like they went in here. So now the duplicates are over here. And I say, think of your card. And I say, okay. And I messed this up a little bit during the performance yesterday. It still was fine, but I just wanted to point that out. And I say, okay, it wasn't a circle.
No.
Think of your card. And it wasn't the, I got 2 by accident. It wasn't the plus sign. It wasn't the wavy lines.
No.
It wasn't that either. It was, you in fact thought of the star.
Yes.
Now, do you see the logic behind that? I put 4 cards down that you did not look at to see they were all different. You
Right.
peeked at one, gathered them up, and I put them in my pocket. But now, because I'm one at a time, I'm showing them to you face up, I'm proving to you that all the cards were different, you see?
Yes.
Okay, now finally, for the last phase, I say, okay, take and mix all these up. Now remember, I still have those cards over here in this pocket. I still have those 5 cards.
Yes.
And I know that the top one is still the circle. Now, when I did it yesterday, the person had chosen the circle, so I knew the top one was the plus sign.
Right.
But since that person did not, since you chose the wavy lines earlier, the top one is still the circle.
Right.
So what I do is I take these without looking and I put them into my pocket under the cards already in my pocket.
So you know the top 4.
I know the top one. All I need to know is the top one. I have the person stand here, and if you recall, I say, reach into my pocket as quick as you can and pull 1 card out. And as they do it, I say, and pull out the circle card. And they come out and they turn it around. It's a circle card. So here, this person, you mixed them up, put them in my pocket, reached in and pulled out the very card that I
Yeah.
asked you to pick, and you take the deck out and you're all set. And the duplicate ones are buried away here.
Wow.
See? So it's a great routine.
So this becomes a just a regular.
Yeah, because you got the duplicates.
Right.
out
So
of the
this is
way.
all just a regular package. What you're left with a clean ESP
Right.
pack.
Right.
Great.
That's
And what was the name of it?
the ESP card effect.
Yggdrasil.
Yggdrasil. Okay. There you go. I think I'll try this with you, but you look on Taylor and make sure everything's fair, okay? Okay. Okay, here's a deck of cards that's blue. So why don't you take these cards and give them a shuffle. And here's the deck that's red. It's actually a little bit different design here, but I'm just gonna shuffle them out. Okay, I'll shuffle like yours. whatever it takes. Okay, when you're done shuffling, hold the cards like this. Okay? Now you're going to go first. I'll just set mine down here. I want you to think of a number, not too high a number, but think of a number, and then when you've got one in your mind, announce it out loud, because you're going to deal the cards down that number. So what do you say?
6.
6. Okay, so deal 6 cards down.
Down, face down.
Yeah, face down from the deck. You can shuffle again if you want. And just put the 6th card like over here, the last.
card?
Yeah, the last card. Okay, we're not going to look at it just yet. Okay, and I am also going to deal 6 cards down, just like you did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards, just like you did. Okay. Now you pick at your card. I'll pick at my card. Just like that. You got it? Okay, just put it back in somewhere in the middle of the deck. Shuffle. You know what? I'm sorry. Put it in upside down. Go through and find your card and turn it over. I'll do the same thing with the one card that I just looked at. Okay? Did you do it?
Yep.
Is it in the middle somewhere you turned it over?
No.
Oh, just, okay. Let's see what you got here. So you did everything in your hands, and you turned that card over, and I did everything in my hand. I turned that card over. What card did you? 8 of Hearts. There it is.
How do you do that?
Herbert Hood created a kind of a do as I do effect called you and yours, me and mine. So,
And it's it's deceptively straightforward and sneaky.
okay,
We have 2 decks. One is a regular bicycle deck,
all right.
and the other one is